Thanks to the amazing folks over at Ameda City through the Predecessor Creators Guild, I've been given an opportunity to take a first look at Predecessor's upcoming patch, patch 1.4. This patch is absolutely massive and has some changes for every single hero in the game. It's also going to bring us our next Predecessor hero, Boris, who's going to be charging his way into Sanctuary. We got a lot to cover in this patch, so let's get to it. Sparrow is one of the original marksman heroes in Predecessor, and she is one that's always going to pay off the longer of time you commit with her. She's got a good win rate and is a very staple hero, so if you're new to the game, she's a great place to start. She's played primarily in the duo lane in association with some kind of support hero to help her, keep her alive and help her secure those kills. They've made some good changes to her in this patch, including a reworked ability. Actually, 2 reworked abilities. But we're going to talk about those changes now, beginning with her passive ability, Relentless. This is a stacking passive where her basic attacks and her abilities apply stacks of Relentless. Her basic attacks against targets afflicted by Relentless are going to deal additional maximum health as bonus physical damage on hit per stack. This can stack up to 6 times and last for 3 seconds. The changes that they have made is that now the stacks can be applied to minions and monsters, and the cap for minions and monsters is going to be 12 plus 1 per level per stack. The first change to her abilities is her primary ability, Hail of Arrows. Now, for those that are unfamiliar with this ability, it's an area of effect, a pretty large one, that's going to rain arrows down onto the ground, deal damage, and most importantly, slow enemies. This ability has been changed in that it now deals damage over 8 ticks of damage instead of 5, so a longer damage cycle. The overall base damage has been reduced, the scaling has been reduced, but here's the kicker. One of the main sleeper strategies with Sparrow was to max this ability early to secure a significant slow on both enemies in the lane that you're fighting against. But it used to be that I believe it was maybe 20 to 45% or 25 to 45% slow. Don't quote me, but it's something like that. They have adjusted this ability now to where it is a flat 40% slow at all levels. So effectively, you can keep that strategy. And 40% was, I believe, the 4th level of this ability in the previous patch. Now what you could do is you could take just one level in Hail of Arrows, secure that 40% slow, and then go on to max a different ability for damage. So this is really a great change for Sparrow players. The next ability is Heightened Senses. This is her secondary ability, which has now been reworked. Upon activating this ability, she will gain attack speed for 6 seconds. Every other basic attack that she lands against the same target is going to do 20% total attack damage added. So this is just on top of it, just layering that damage right on top. They have increased the cooldown of this ability, but makes sense being that she's really going to pump out some damage with this. At max rank, she's getting 50% attack speed for 6 seconds. The next change is to her alternate ability, Piercing Arrow. So this is a charged ability where it's a line attack where this arrow will pierce through all targets hit and deal damage. Targets that have Relentless stacks from her passive are going to receive 9% additional damage per stack, and targets beyond the first person hit take 60% damage. The base damage is down early but up late, and the scaling damage is now going to go from 140 to 160. Previously it was a fixed 160. So that is a little bit of an adjustment there, reducing some of her early game damage. However, they have increased the passive multiplier, so that 9% additional damage per stack is higher than it was in previous patches. So a couple of changes there, but I think overall she lands in a good spot with the damage output for this. The last change is her ultimate ability, Inner Fire, and this has been reworked. So upon activation, at first level, she'll launch 11, at second level 13, and at the third level 15 volleys of arrows over 3.5 seconds. Each of these arrows are going to deal an additional 75% total physical power. The 2 arrows on the side, because when you activate this ability, you notice that when she fires, there's 3 arrows that fan out. The arrows on the side deal 50% damage, but all of the arrows have 25% effectiveness for on hit and 50% effectiveness for critical strike. So this is a good rework in general, I think, because previously it was simply turn the bow to the side, fire these 3 arrows per shot, deal a bunch of damage, and on hit. Now you've got more isolated damage buckets, essentially. So you build your physical power, you build your critical strike, you build your on hit, more reliable damage coming through with her ultimate ability. So let me know what you think about the changes that they've brought to Sparrow and whether or not you plan on playing her in patch 1.4.